All right, guys, hey, it's not combine season, it's Lexion season, and I got a little work to do on my Lexion, and so I'll show you what we got to do here. There's one little, the machine is really ready to go, except this one little thing is I got to get this sieve motor for here to run the top and bottom sieves. Otherwise, I think she's good to go for another year. I think it's pretty much field ready. At least that's what the ad said. When I bought it, it said field ready. And so I guess I just got to take their word for it. No, if you see behind me, the feeder house is on the 4430. Funny story. We bought this from a farmer on an insurance salvage. But I know that sounds crazy. But he had just completely rebuilt this thing. He, 2 new tracks, a lot of undercarriage work, all new thrashing components throughout. The feeder house completely rebuilt, bearings, feeder house chain, upper sprockets. I mean, everything in the feeder house is completely rebuilt. The chopper's in great shape. There was like $40,000 or $50,000 of brand new parts put in this combine. New augers in the grain tank, new auger tube out, your horizontal auger out there, and so I bought it for a parts machine. My tires on my combine have been bad for a lot of years, so I bought it for the tracks. I'll just swap front axles, and so I got it for the cost of what it would cost me to put tires on the other combine is what I got this for, and it came with an 8-row chopping corn head that needs just a little bit of work. And the same thing with that corn head was all new gathering chains, new lawnmower blade knives. I mean, he had just stuck a bazillion dollars in that corn head as well. New tailings chain that we'll borrow from this one. All new belts. I mean, holy tamale. So I got a spare engine, spare rear wheel drive, spare transmission, hydro motor, engine gear case, hydro pump. I mean, yeah, you name it, we've got parts. And so I'm kind of excited to take all the good stuff out of this one and put into mine, and between the two of them end up by next year with one really beautiful combine. The feeder house itself is like 7 minutes to pull off. You literally lift it up with the forks, pop your cylinder pins. There's a big bolt right here, and this big bolt, and you literally just unplug your speed sensor, unplug your head sensor. The hydraulic and electronic is quick couplers. So boop, boop, boom, dump. Third one done. And on that side, you just take that really big pulley and that belt off and pull the 2 pins and literally drive it out. I mean, it is so fast and easy to pull the feeder house on this one. And yeah, he's got all brand new APS paddles. Man, I'd really like to take his APS drum and his thrashing drum out of this one and put into mine. But we got spare gearboxes, for cylinder drive. You got spare gearboxes for rotors, spare cleaning fan parts. Holy cow. And his cleaning fan kit is a much, much heavier duty system than mine. And so I'm going to see if I can't transfer it over. I think I literally just got to take one bracket off of this frame, put it on mine, and then I've got the upgraded heavy duty drive cleaning fan. But think about them big variators everybody talks about. I got spare variators. I mean, chaff spreader. I mean, holy cow, guys. Holy cow. And we should be good to go for parts this year. And so I'm kind of excited. And a radiator, intercooler, how much does that stuff cost? Spare engine, geez, $8,000. Somebody wants a nice Lexion or a nice Caterpillar C9, $8,000, come get it. It came with a full tank of fuel, and so believe it or not, we filled the Massey up a couple times out of that fuel tank for free on $5 fuel, guys. Every once in a while, a blind squirrel's got to find a nut. But let me pick up my tools and let's go get this feeder house washed up, and then we'll get it put on. Had to take a break from working on the combine and get ready for beans to feed the cows. So the grazing's getting a little thin out here. They're still grazing, but it's getting a little thin. So once or twice a week, we'll bring some bales out here, and just for a little, just to make sure, you know, just to make sure. And I'll put them up here in this. You can see out that way. You can't see it, but there's a line here where I quit drilling with the rye or the clover and alfalfa, and so we'll feed out here. That way, when they trample a bale, they aren't ruining good clover. Oh, there you go. Happy cows. Happy cows. Yeah. Oh, we still got to this week, next week, run everybody through, and fall vaccinations and sorting and blah blah blah, yak yak yak, get them back to pasture one for the winter. It never ends. Well, that went pretty good. It's cold and sleety out here, if you're wondering why I'm doing it outside, because the shop is for paying customers only. Rather insulting. No, the shop is kind of full, and we had an emergency split on the tractor, and we weren't really thinking forward very much, and kind of rolled the front end down in front of the door a little bit, so I don't have room to sneak the combine through, but that's all right. So there's the feeder house. She's home. It fairly straightforward, went really well. Got it slid in. It came in a little bit crooked, so then I just lowered it down, kept the forks flat, lowered it down, got a big bar, and just kind of pried it over a couple inches to the south, and lift back up, and bunk, she goes home. And hooked everything up. I need this little washer for there. I carried my harness over from my other head because his was burnt. Otherwise, the hydraulics plugged in, electronics plugged in, and then I swapped this plate over, so his was all melted here, so I just brought mine from my other head over, and for the most part, she's on and ready to go, just waiting for the UPS truck to bring me some hoses. We're in kind of a wet, cold, snow, sleety, drizzly weather pattern here, so that's buying me some time to get him ready. So I'm just ordering parts as we need it, and I'm going to borrow his proximity switch. So what the proximity switch does is it looks through this channel. If it doesn't see grain, it'll shut the auger off until it fills back up, and as soon as it sees grain, it'll turn the auger on until the grain falls below that line, and it keeps your sensor submerged in grain the whole time for the most accurate moisture reading. Pretty simple. This one's giving me fits, and so I'm just going to swap it out. Normally, I think it's clockwise. You turn this, there's a little tiny micro screw, super tiny little screw right there, and you'd turn him in clockwise until it turned the auger on with no grain, and then turn it out until it quit, and then do like a quarter turn or something like that, and that's how you'd set the proximity switch. And this one's not responding. You sit there and turn it till you're blue in the face. So we have a spare one out there, so I'll just take the wrench and do that. And all we do for this tailings chain, there's a belt on the other side. Just pop the belt loose and then roll the chain over till we find the master link, and then slide the old one out, and come over here and roll this one over till we find the master link, and hook the new one to the old one. As the old one comes out, the new one goes in, and kind of drape the new one over the tire, or just kind of roll it up. They actually work pretty all right if you roll it up like a roller chain and just let it feed in. And actually not a bad job at all, rolling in new elevator chains. Otherwise, what you can do is we take red twine, plastic twine, tie to the end of this one when you break it, and then you can pull this one out, and then have the twine right there and hook to the new one, and then pull the new one right in with the twine. And so either way works just fine. And yeah, whatever you see. And then that should get me my new chain. And then maybe I borrow his little drive chain up there. Whoop, finger in the view. Maybe I borrow his little drive chain up there. And yeah. Then we'll see how that goes and see what parts to swap next. The cleaning fan, I really want to do that cleaning fan. The only thing is on his combine, there's a bracket right here. And I looked at it, and it's one of them things that 10 minutes with the torch should be off. And the way it sits in there, you just carry it over to this one and just weld her back on, and it, an hour, and you're ready to bolt his variable system on. And it's a much heavier duty system than this one. This one doesn't cause problems in general, other than the pulley and the bearing have got a wear gap in, and so there's a vibration to it, and it breaks the stud that this motor rides on. And yeah, so we'll see how far we get. Well, that went fairly nice. There's the old chain, the new chain's up in here, and we'll see. Oh boy. Oh boy. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah. Rolls real nice, fit in there. We got, well, you're only we're not even halfway through the range of travel. And Craig's so Friday on this combine. Now you got another, if it took several thousand acres to get the first chain stretched out, we got a lot of years. I think we got, several thousand acres before this chain is even getting close to war. And by the time that chain's wore, it'll be time for upper and lower sprockets. I did get my sensor. Before I changed him, I got a power issue. Son of a buck. Them stupid mice. I don't know if anybody has ever heard of a mouse getting into a combine cab, but he got under my armrest. And now I have no power at the seat. I have no power at my monitor. So when I was doing wheat, the first day I had everything, I had mapping and stuff, and then the next day I did not. And you're just like, you little sugar. So I'm going to grab the monitor out of the Massey and hook back in, and then lift up that corner armrest and start poking around and seeing if we can't see some bad wires somewhere. So I found the bad wires. Luckily, the Lexion harnessing under the armrest is all good. The seat is not working because of something in the seat itself. Either the motor quit or the wire harness under the seat. Maybe the mouse got under the seat there, whatever. But out of the console, there is power heading to the seat. And the seat harness looks good until it goes into the seat and you lose track of it. The yield monitor... So I had ordered a cable. So the mouse, this is the display. It runs up to this is what you'd see hanging from the monitor in the corner. And then all this is tucked underneath the console. And this is the CAN bus line. And CAN bus is just two wires that can run many functions. So it's just a communications line. So with the two twisted wires on the combine, along them two wires, it's watching the mass flow sensor, grain moisture, header height position, ground speed, and clean grain elevator speed. So them 5 things are being communicated on these twisted wires, but it's only this harness that's doing it. But these are just a better representation of what's there. And so it's kind of a unique thing, but the mouse, he chewed right through that. And CAN bus is a very particular, it's kind of interesting. Like, you can run a lot of data along a CAN bus, but I don't think you could ever have any good luck cutting this bad chunk out and, just using some crimp on 2 new pieces of wire, twist them and do that. I don't think you'd ever have a really good operating system. It might not work at all. Maybe you get lucky and it would, but it to me, it's just not worth it. I don't. Maybe you could buy CAN bus wire pre-made. I don't know, but I just got a new harness, and one of the mornings, it's cold mornings. We got to get going on beans. Um, so yesterday, a buddy called. He says, "Hey, I'm not being nosy, but have you looked at your beans?" And I'm like, "No." And he says, "I think they're good to go." And really, with the snow that we had and the several days of drizzle, I thought it was going to take a long time. I thought I had all week here to finish up on the combine repairs. Um, but he's like, they're good to go. And I'm like, holy crap. So we run over there and yeah, they're good to go. And the beans are popping. I'll show you that. I'll try and remember to get an example of what I mean there. But the pods are busting open because of the freezing and the big beans. So what I got done on the combine is what I got done. It's go time. So later today, we're going to get moving, hopefully. I just got to get this guy running, and then we'll get going on our beans. And so I never got that cleaning fan installed. Hopefully mine will hang together. That pulley will hang together until we get a snow day or a rain day or beans are done, and in between beans and corn we can swap them over. And so yeah, it's time to go, guys. Harvest is here. So all right, well, thank you very much for watching.